What are you, there's no fucking Mars bar down there. What are you looking at? Look up here, look at me. Do you think you're out of tune?
Yes.
Then why the fuck didn't you say so?
Language. It can build, it can tear others down, it can lie, and it can present truth. Language is a collection of sounds we use to communicate, and film in itself is a language. And there are numerous ways to communicate to an audience. Welcome. My name is Josh, and you just stepped inside my mind. There is a mixed bag of people who either don't care if a bad word is said, and there are also the people who do care and are offended by the past meanings of these words. Or they're just offended by the negative connotation our culture gives to those words. Everyone knows dialogue should be used in most stories at some point.
My killers who will not take no for an answer. My fucking warriors who will not hang up the phone until their client either buys or fucking dies!
Dialogue is a tool, but like any tool, it can be used for good, but it also could be used for quote-unquote bad.
Fuck this, shit that, cunt, cock, asshole. I couldn't believe how these guys talk to each other. I was hooked in seconds. It was like mainlining adrenaline.
Yeah, fuckface. Look at where the stock's at today, huh?
Motherfucker, you can't get anywhere. At 44. Pick up the cocksucking phone. Sorry.
This isn't a debate if language is morally good or bad. This is a video about how words have power, and when the writer uses language, it can be abused in film.
Bitch, shit, fucking bitch. Fuck.
You see, I think language can be used when it has a proper time and intention behind it. When we use a certain word, it can create more impact emotionally for the character, for the story, and for the audience. Like I said earlier, language, words, dialogue, it's a tool, and it can be used correctly and it could be used incorrectly. But I'm only going to talk about the examples that it's been used correctly, in my opinion, of course.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked.
Whiplash is my first example. It's a fantastic film about an artist jazz drummer who gets into the best musical school in the country. The school has a teacher named Fletcher, who supposedly is an award-winning artist, but he also teaches in a very abusive way.
Start counting.
5, 6, 7.
In 4, damn it! Look at me!
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Now, was I rushing or was I dragging? Count again.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
If a film has a character who is innocent and genuine, but also passionate dreamer, then you have that contrast of vulgar, crass, and hateful.
I will fuck you like a pig. Now, are you a rusher or are you a dragger? Or are you gonna be on my fucking time?
So people might say, well, it's crass, it's vulgar. I don't want to listen to that. Exactly. Our character's first impression of Fletcher, kind of creepy in the beginning, but then the next scene when he's actually in the class, his first impression isn't very good.
Milk the cunt!
Those words are disgusting. but it's necessary because it shows Fletcher's instant influence on his students. They say that saying when he walks into the classroom. Andrew's character is bright, has dreams, and well, thinks he can make it. As we move through the film, we see Andrew turn into Fletcher to a degree.
Neiman, you lost the fucking part.
No, I didn't. Look, you can't fucking do this to me.
Can't?
Yeah.
When did you become a fucking expert on what I can or cannot do, you fucking weepy willow shit sack?
I earned that part.
You never earned anything. God, you are a self-righteous prick. The only reason you're a fucking core is because you misplaced a folder. The only reason you're in studio band to begin with is because I told you exactly what I'd be asking for in Nassau. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, I'm in studio band because I'm the
Hey,
best
why don't
player.
you just back
Yo,
off, bro?
fuck off, John Utah. Turn my pages, bitch.
In the beginning, Andrew doesn't swear once, doesn't talk back, he doesn't have bouts of anger, until he's been in Fletcher's class for an amount of time. But Fletcher thinks being abusive and changing a genuine boy into a cynical, angry, hateful man is the answer. I don't think this story could have been as powerful as it was if it wasn't written the way it was.
Neiman. You're done.
I'm upset.
Louder!
I'm upset.
You are a worthless, friendless, faggot-lipped little piece of shit whose mommy left daddy when she figured out he wasn't Eugene O'Neill, and who is now weeping and slobbering all over my drum set like a fucking 9-year-old girl.
The vulgar and abusive dialogue is needed for Fletcher, because in this film, Fletcher is abusive to Andrew, physically, emotionally, and mentally.
Shit, I'll fucking kill you. Get off me! Off me! Fuck off! Fuck you! Fuck you, Fletcher! Fuck you! Get off! Fuck! Piece of shit! Fuck you!
The next example is a show that I think is highly underrated in the general audience community. It's a show called Bojack Horseman. Its story is about a washed-up 90s sitcom actor striving to be more than he was. Bojack Horseman deals with a lot of hard-hitting aspects of life, like depression, looking for meaning, absurdism, painful, unloving family backgrounds. The show handles all of its themes that are really hard-hitting in the best ways I have ever seen on screen. It's a fantastic series. It deals with mostly adult or mature themes, but coincidentally, language isn't a big thing in the show. However, I believe this is a writer's choice. The show is on Netflix and it's TVMA. Every time the quote or unquote F word is said, it's used scarcely. It's only used once per season, and it's only used when our main character is losing someone in his life. Now, these scenes hit even harder when you know the context, which is Bojack Horseman ruins his life. He fails to be a good friend, he believes he's a bad son, and thinks he's a bad influence. He kinda is. He's a tragic character. This isn't a review of the show, that's another video entirely. But Bojack Horseman's most memorable moments are the moments that have one word in them.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I don't forgive you.
Herb, I said I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I do not forgive you.
Not sure you get what's happening here. This could be the last time that
No, I'm not gonna give you closure. You don't get that. You have to live with the shitty thing you did for the rest of your life. You have to know that it's never, ever going to be okay.
I really think that we'd both feel better if we
I'm
just...
dying. I'm not gonna feel better. And I'm not gonna be your prop so you can feel better.
You have to believe me. I did everything I could.
Yeah? Then why didn't you call me? Huh? 20 years you didn't call me.
Look, I wanted to, but I didn't think...
You know what it was like for me? I had nobody. Everybody left. I knew all those showbiz phonies would turn on me, sure. But you?
It's not my fault you got fired.
I don't care about the job! I did fine. I had a good life. But what I needed then was a friend. And you abandoned me. And I will never forgive you for that. Now get the fuck out of my house.
When we constantly use any word now in our culture, it stops having its impact. But if it's used scarcely with intent,
I will call the police. And if you ever try to contact me or my family again, I will fucking kill you.
it can be very, very powerful and motivational for the story and the character.
Like, that makes it okay. You need to be better.
I know, and I'm sorry, okay? I was drunk, and there was all this pressure with the Oscar campaign.
But now that it's over,
No, Bojack, just stop. You are all the things that are wrong with you. It's not the alcohol or the drugs or any of the shitty things that happened to you in your career or when you were a kid. It's you. All right? It's you. Fuck, man. What else is there to say?
The next example I have is Prisoners. Prisoners is about a man named Keller Dover, a God-fearing, family-loving patriot. When Keller and his family visit their neighbors for Thanksgiving dinner, Keller and his friend's daughter goes outside and they're gone. No trace of them. This puts Keller in a place of vulnerability, and he decides to take matters into his own hands. Now, in this film, Keller is shown to be a Christian. He wears a cross, has a Christian fish on his car, and he's seen listening to the Bible on tape in certain scenes. This film really establishes the type of person Keller is, and the film shows Keller as calm, collected in the beginning, but then we watch this character unravel into a pained, desperate, violent man. This is the first scene where he loses his control.
I hear what you're saying.
No,
Sir,
listen to me. Just shut the fuck up for a fucking second.
This is what I'm gonna need you to do for me. I need you to calm down.
I'm sorry.
This scene is powerful, to say the least. If you read the script, language wasn't there in Keller's character. But Hugh Jackman decided to add language to the script because words have power. And it's out of his character to be so brash and rude, but it's the perfect start to show the audience that this character is changing. He isn't the same. Hugh Jackman's acting really adds to his character and shows how he's not only changing in a visual sense, but also changing internally. And out of the heart, the mouth speaks. This film really tells a great story, and the scene is more powerful with added foul language. This film uses language as important character traits. Jake Gyllenhaal's character doesn't have any rules except what the justice system is about. Language to him is any other word.
Slowly, both hands. Both fucking hands!
This film hints at this man's past multiple times, like him having pentagrams and tattoos all over his body. And he only shows that when he is around people he interrogates or tries to intimidate. But when he's around families or victims, he covers up his tattoos. And since he's used to being the opposite of Keller, it makes sense for the character to speak the way he does.
I wanted to hide his tattoos. Now, the idea was more about things that he was ashamed of as opposed to the things that he, wanted to show off. Mostly he wanted to project some idea of being together and not losing it emotionally or however one might lose it, keep control. And he had this whole history that he wanted to sort of hide. Him having had been brought up in a boys' home and him knowing priests when he goes and he's in the basement with the priests. And from there, Denis and I came up with an entire backstory. And we worked very intensely on it.
There's great acting from Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman, and this story needed every minor detail it has.
Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?
From how the characters walk, talk,
Are you planning on taking 2 little girls?
No.
and think. I just wish more films did this. I just wish there was more purpose in using certain words, because words have power, and you don't want to let your dialogue lose its power.
It hasn't been a fucking week.
You're right. Day
hasn't been a
fucking
week.
6. Day 6. And every day, she's wondering why I'm not there to fucking rescue her. Do you understand that? Me, not you. Not you, but me. Every day. So forgive me for not going home to have a good night's rest. Now why didn't you look for my fucking daughter rather than fucking...
If we use our words with not much intention in every scene, every spot, every character aspect.
No, we do not give up.
You're gonna bring her home? She's dead. You can't do anything. You've been leaving me and Mom here while you've been going out and getting fucking drunk. You think I can't smell it on you? Shut up!
Every story motive.
Shit, man, this ain't right.
Who are failing to use a tool. I just wish there was more purpose in using certain words. I wish the writer had more intention with what they're going to say. If you look at a film like Bright, you kind of can understand what I'm saying. So if words have power,
Fuck you.
You don't want to let your dialogue lose its power. And I feel like if you can use certain words in the wrong time, you are failing to use a tool. It's not wrong to me to put bad words in your film, but it's not permissible always to use that type of dialogue in your story. I think we should always ask ourselves as writers, is this necessary for the character, for the story? Sometimes saying nothing can be the answer. Let's not squander our dialogue. Let's use our tool wisely.
If we already caught him in 95. How indeed, detectives?
I figured you'd be the one to know.
And start asking the right fucking questions.